Hey guys, today I want to talk about further proof for the pre-tribulation rapture. And in context, why I don't think you want to miss it. That's for all the non-believers and the cults that are pretending to be Christian, like Catholicism, Mormonism, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witness, Emergent Church. I want them to understand clearly what I'm talking about. We see in John chapter 14 verses 1 through 3 where the church is going to be taken up by Jesus to where he dwells. That's in his Father's house. They don't rise up to heaven or up to the clouds and turn around and do a U-turn to come back down. We see in Revelation chapter 10 the escape. We're promised to escape this period of time of testing, tribulation that's for the whole world. Now, when you get to Revelation chapter 6, and Jesus, being Jesus, opens the first seal, the second seal, the third seal, and the first seal is already, we know, is the Antichrist. And you read the whole chapter of Revelation 6, and you get to that last part where it says, where the people are talking about his wrath has come. I want you to understand that that's talking in past tense. It's the inhabitants of this earth coming to the realization that the wrath has come. They're now realizing, and Jesus, by the one opening the first seal, releasing the Antichrist, is giving his world his wrath. It's not just man's wrath or Satan's wrath, it's his wrath. Daniel's 70th week is his wrath, and it must be completed. So when you see that last verse saying, his wrath has come, the Lamb's wrath, it's talking about what's been going on for all these seals being broken. And they estimate in that time frame, when he's talking about the numbers, that it's 2 billion people. So the first 3.5 years of this tribulation period is not going to be some cakewalk. It's going to be horrific in terms that most people can't even comprehend. Imagine 2 billion people being the entire population of China, United States, dead. Think it'll hit home then? Now when you hear about the second half, it's probably going to be 2 to 4 billion people. It's going to be truly a horrific time. You do not want to miss the resurrection rapture. Because in the twinkle of an eye, if you see the rapture happen, you know what's coming. But now we know that this is God's wrath. God's got his wrath going when the Antichrist is released and he's conquered, and he signs that covenant or enforces the covenant with Israel on behalf of the many. Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. When you see that, that's the start. That's the start that day, and it'll be on that day 7 years later that it will stop. Yes, the time will be cut short, but I believe that's talking about the rotation of the earth. If he says it's 7 years, then it has to be 7 years. It's just the shortening of the days, which make it'll be a short time, thus defeating Satan. Now, when you look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verse 10, we are not meant for wrath. We are not meant for any of that at all. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 9, again, no wrath. We will taste none of God's wrath. First half of the tribulation will be 2 billion dead. Second half, 2 to 4 billion dead. And those under the altar are crying, how long is it going to be before you avenge our blood? And make no mistakes about it. This is Jesus, God, doing his wrath on this earth. He is directly judging the entire population on this earth and killing 2/3 of it. Now you're going to have to rectify that with yourself. You have to square that with yourself. Because that loving Jesus, his days of love are just about over. And you're going to see, this world will see his wrath. Now, Mormons, Catholics, Seventh-day Adventists, Jehovah's Witness, Emergent Church, listen to what I am saying. If you miss this resurrection rapture, if you are left here, you're going to see that with your own eyes. don't want to be here for that. Because in the twinkle of an eye, the digital limit of speed going right through the iris, in the twinkle of an eye, 300 to 500 million Christians are going to vanish. Poof, gone. When you see that, number one, know we told you the truth. We told you what was going to happen before it was going to happen because we read and studied our scriptures in a proper manner. We knew it was going to happen. The Bible told us. Number two, prepare yourself for what's going to happen next. You are going to have to endure till the end. Now, that's if you become a believer upon the Jesus Christ of Scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 1 through 4, and, don't forget, and Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. Grace through faith, no works. You are justified by what Jesus did on the cross. You are saved by that alone, and that's what saves you. Now, if you want to worry about, like what I worry about, my positional standing in heaven, that's one of the reasons why I do the good works. Not only is that me being about my Father's business, me doing His will, that is my worship of Him. I believe in Him so much, I'm telling everyone else about it. The gospel. Contend for the faith. Leaving after rapture packets behind. Because, for all as I know, some Mormon somewhere is going to pick up one of my after rapture packets or watch this video and is going to say, that crazy Monty was right. Number three, I do this in preparation for you because having told you the future before it happens, because I read and studied the prophecies, what they have prepared, what the enemy has prepared as a counterbalance, a counter strike against the pre-tribulation rapture, is the aliens showing up or giants showing up or whatever form it takes. You were told beforehand. You know what they're going to do. And you won't be fooled by it. The vast majority of this world is going to be fooled by the counter strike. Well, you've just been told what's going to happen before it happens. I've gone into some detail. When you read Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 and 2, and you learn about the satanic bloodline, the seed war, and you learn that there were giants on this earth and they're called Nephilim, and you learn that Jesus said in Matthew 24, verse 37, this is going to happen again. You know it's going to happen. So you can't be fooled again. My prayers for you is that I plant the seed in you now, someone else comes along and waters it, and that way you've been told, you believe, you're out of that system. You're now a born-again believer upon the Jesus Christ of these Scriptures. And you're going to be taken with us. Because if you're not, you're going to see that time frame. We're talking about tidal waves that are going to be 1,000 feet high, hitting shores. We're talking about earthquakes so massive that the entire earth will feel it. We're talking about diseases so massive that whole continents die. That's what you're going to see. Now say we get through that to the halfway point, and the Antichrist is in control, and he's saying, okay, he enters into the third built temple, which you will see built, and says, I am God, worship me, and erects some form of monstrosity that some technical gizmo wadoohickey with the image of God, or Satan, and its life's going to be given to it. Know that from then on, sooner or later, you're going to be told, okay, you go get in that line right there, you take your mark of the beast, mark on the right hand, most likely some form of microchip, and you worship Satan from now on. If you refuse, they'll either imprison you, but who's going to pay for prisoners during that time frame? Nobody. So they're going to kill you. They're going to take your head from your shoulders. And those that are under the altar crying out to God, when are you going to take vengeance? 2/3 of this world is going to die as a direct result of Jesus judging this world. You sure you want to see that? Are you sure you wish to bring a completely fantastic version of Jesus like Mormonism does? Born from some funky union between Father and Mother God, created being, all the while looking at you arguing, they're the same Jesus, they're the same Jesus. No, they're not. Jesus is the eternal Elohim. That's why the Jews were going to kill him. He was claiming to be the one God. Well, anyway, not much more I can say, really. You've been told. We really tried to tell you. We really did.